Hello, this video is probably going to be a little bit longer because I want to share my vegan story with anyone who's interested. So pretty much before I became vegan, I had always eaten animal products because I thought that they were part of a balanced, healthy diet. And on top of just animal products and just pretty much I was eating the standard American diet, standard Australian diet. I was, from the age of 22, I consumed quite a bit of olive oil because I had a boyfriend who was Croatian and his family ate a lot of olive oil. And I thought that olive oil was healthy, and I know now it's not. There's scientific evidence to show that that's the case, but anyway. And when I was, but I ate starches as well because I thought that was also part of a healthy, balanced diet. And when I was 33 or 34, I don't know, I was living in Switzerland and I met this lady and she had lost a lot of weight. And I said, oh my God, what did you do? And she said, I cut out carbs, or we could consider those to be starches. And rice, potatoes, corn, all that. And she just upped her animal protein. I was like, oh my God, that's so cool, because when I lived in Switzerland, I lived on a hill. I lived in Lausanne, so it's just a hill. Everywhere you walk, you walk up a hill or down a hill. And also I was swimming probably for an hour, 4 times a week, and I was working full time, and I was hiking and skiing on the weekends, and I was still pretty fat, and for all that activity. And so I wouldn't mind losing a few pounds. So when she told me about that, I cut out starches overnight, and I just went to lots of animal products and still having the olive oil and salt and fruits, and every now and again I would I'd probably still eat junk food as well because I was actually hungry. Even though I was eating that food, I always had cravings for, I suppose, starches, as we do. So then what happened was around probably just before that time, when I was 33, I had a very bad snowboarding accident when I was living in Switzerland. It happened on the 1st of January, on New Year's Day, 2005. And since then I've had really bad problems with my body, which is now why you see me doing yoga and stretching and all that. And totally stuffed up my pelvis and my spine and my rib cage. It's just a mess. And what I realized was, without realizing, after that I had a lot of pain. So as I started taking vitamin supplements on top of, then I had a high animal protein, a high oil diet, and then I was taking vitamin supplements because I thought that they help with the pain, like fish oil and garbage, which I realize now is also totally toxic to the body. And if you kind of question that, you can read about it in the book Whole by Colin T. Campbell. And I also think that there's a chapter in The Starch Solution by John McDougall about the toxicity of vitamin supplements. And so anyway, so I didn't realize, but just my diet was making me sicker. And I think, look back now, I think it was making me more stressed. Okay, I was stressed with my job because I had a high pressure job. And then I had the accident, so I was suffering a lot of pain, and I was struggling to find help, even though I was throwing money at the situation. Throwing money at doctors and osteopaths and physios and all that. No one could help me. And then the diet, with all this oil and all the crap pumping through my bloodstream, I just was stressed. And so then I came back to Australia, and anyway, and I stuck to the high animal protein diet, high oil, high salt diet, and suffering still with the body pain from the accident, and I still had another stressful job. And I think that the whole combination of my diet and lifestyle led me to become more susceptible to environmental pollution, I believe. And on the 17th of June 2009, I had an acute exposure to environmental pollutant. I think I was about 37 then. And that was 6.5 years ago. And my life has never been the same. About half an hour after the incident, I started suffering visual disturbance, chronic pains in my head. I had trouble judging distances, and I become chronically fatigued. Like, all I wanted to do was sleep. I couldn't coordinate my thoughts properly. And like, I think, like, some people say chronic fatigue syndrome is psychological. That is such a load of fucking horseshit, basically. I realised that for me, this illness was damage as a result of damage to my nervous system and my vascular system. That's how I feel has happened, what has happened to me, just from my personal experience with it. And then after I developed, well, for a long time, it took a long time to diagnose what my problem was, but finally they said on chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia. And so I have a lot of I have like all the chemical sensitivities you could want, you could, unfortunately have, and food sensitivities and all that. So, but I didn't realise that. I didn't realise any of that initially. It's just through trial and error that I've discovered all that. Anyway, so after I got sick and I had migraines 24/7 and stuff, like, I came to live here where I live with my parents, and I rent the granny flat, and I'm close to them, and it's just better. And I couldn't work anymore, so I couldn't drive for the first 8 months after the exposure to the pollutant. I couldn't even drive my car, because I was having trouble seeing and judging distances properly and just staying awake. And I was struggling to read even, and because we live in the middle of nowhere, at that time we didn't have very good internet access, so I couldn't search for a solution. So I was relying on what naturopaths were telling me and old books from the local library. It was just crap, and they were all saying vitamin supplements, and oils and animal protein and all this crap. And so I just continued the diet that I had, probably with the addition of more vitamin supplements. And that first year after I got sick, I was getting sicker and sicker and sicker, and I seriously got to a point one day when I felt that I was close to death. And I remember kind of forcing myself to read a book that I had heard about a guy. His name is Ian Gawler, and he had terminal cancer, bone cancer, and he had like 3 weeks to live. They'd chopped off his leg, and he had healed himself. And so I got his book called You Can Conquer Cancer. Anyway, but in that book, he doesn't discourage vitamin supplements. He doesn't discourage oils. He gives you the option of having them. And he did the Gerson therapy, and on the Gerson therapy, now Charlotte, Gerson flogs flaxseed oil, but back in the day, Gerson was totally against all oils, and he said that most vitamin supplements killed his cancer patients. Sex hormones like progesterone and testosterone killed his cancer patients, and basically he had them on a juicing, coffee enemas, and a little bit of fat-free dairy, a little bit. But he found that in the early stages, any animal protein killed his cancer patients. He said those who had consumed animal protein could not be saved. So what happened was, but in his book, Gerson really didn't talk about any, Ian Gawler didn't really talk about any of that. And so I didn't get Gerson's book for a long time, thinking that if Gawler's saying, this is okay, then that's what he must have done. And so that's what Gerson must have suggested. And so what's the point of getting Gerson's book? Because I was doing all that, taking vitamin supplements and, having healthy oils and all this crap, and it wasn't helping me, and I was getting sicker. So I thought, maybe there's no solution for me. Maybe I'm just going to die or stay this sick. It was hell on earth, and it's still not that hot, but it's I'm not suicidal now, and you know, it's a lot better than it was back then. So anyway, but about a year into the illness, I don't know why, but I decided to order Gerson's book from the library because I think it was out of print, and I got it and I started reading through it, and I was like, oh my God, I had tried progesterone in that first year that I got ill. I had tried, you know, done the oils, done the animal proteins, done the vitamin supplements, got sicker, and all that stuff Gerson says in his book that, like I said, killed his cancer patients or made them much sicker, and often they couldn't be saved. So I realised he was maybe on the right track, and that maybe I had some hope with the Gerson therapy. So I started the Gerson therapy that day, and that I got that book and pretty much read all the most important parts of it, but I didn't take any vitamin supplements. Like Gerson recommends a very few vitamin supplements, but I didn't take any, and I don't think I took it. And the very little dairy, he says, well, for the first couple of months he doesn't recommend dairy anyway, so I didn't have any of the fat-free dairy, and I just had the juices, the coffee enemas, that's it, and the salads and stuff. Just, it was like I had a vegan diet, a fat-free, oil-free, salt-free vegan diet. And I started to improve. I couldn't believe it. Like all this suffering, and suddenly I was on this diet and I started to feel better. Like my migraine started to subside, the dizziness started to subside, the fatigue improved. It was amazing, right? And it encouraged me to keep going with the Gerson, my version of the Gerson therapy. And you know, I had it in the back of my mind that one day maybe I could go back to animal products, you know, if I got well again. But what happened was, because I was on the Gerson therapy, I found out about this documentary called Dying to Have Known. You can watch it on YouTube for free, and in it, oh my God, it's such a good documentary. Like, I so recommend it, called Dying to Have Known. And in that movie, the documentary filmmaker presents Colin T. Campbell and Caldwell Esselstyn. And so after watching that documentary, I started searching for Colin T. Campbell and Caldwell Esselstyn, and then from that I found the documentary Forks Over Knives. And then I realised that, like, they promote a whole foods, vegan, oil-free, low-fat diet, okay? And because of their research, okay, and research findings and findings with patients. So I realised after that, and that's what the documentary is about. For those of you guys who haven't seen Forks Over Knives, it's so good. I highly recommend it. It's one of the best documentaries I've seen, along with Cowspiracy, which I'll get onto, but and along with Dying to Have Known, all great documentaries. And so I realised after that I could never go back to eating animal products ever again. And I realised that even though Gerson recommended a little bit of fat-free dairy on his diet after a long period of the vegan diet, I think that the rest of the therapy was so powerful and the amount of dairy was so little that, you know, there's that little bit of mirror where you can have just a little bit of crap and it's not going to, you know, hurt you if you're doing like 95% really good stuff, you know, like you do on the Gerson therapy. Anyway, so at that point I accepted that I never wanted to eat, or I never could eat animal products again, even if I wanted to, you know, and also because I was feeling better on this Gerson vegan diet, you know, I didn't want to eat animal products because I knew if I tried a bit of dairy I'd get a migraine. Just any animal product I tried, I realised I was getting these migraines back. And then, so then what happened was, I got my dog, and I developed developed a close relationship with her, and I started looking into the eyes of all animals and seeing my dog looking back at me. So I started to appreciate more animal life. And after a couple of years on this vegan diet, the idea of eating dead animal flesh or anything that comes from an animal just suddenly grosses me out, because not only that, like, animals are fed so much shit that, like, garbage, like hormones and pesticide-laden grains and just shit. And you're, like, consuming that. Like, it's so hard to get really clean animal products. So, like, that's another reason why I would never want to eat animal products. And, yeah, because they're just so disgusting and filthy, really, like the way that they're produced. And so then what happened, I also watched the documentary Cowspiracy, and that was probably only a year ago or so, I can't remember exactly when, but then I realised that I would never go back to eating animal products, because I think they say 51% of greenhouse gases are from the animal agriculture industry. And basically, animal agriculture, the way they do it in Western society, is destroying the environment and is destroying the planet. And it's so bad for our health because, you know, animal protein literally, you know, contributes to cancer and chronic disease. So, like, I don't know how anyone could know all that information and still want to eat animal products, seriously. And, but, like, I never really accepted myself as a vegan, per se, because, like, all the vegans I'd ever known, like, in my everyday life, like, basically were at university, and they were, like, young, stuck up, hippies, yuppie, pale with dreadlocks and emaciated, and they just had really shit attitudes, and you just never really want to talk to them, and they didn't want to talk to you. They just had a fucking attitude that, like, I just so was not interested in even talking to them, because I don't know, they seemed like really unapproachable and like they were better than you, better than everyone. So, but what I realised is that that's not what all vegans are like. And I didn't think I'm like that. And so what happened was, I don't know, like maybe 2 years ago or so, I can't remember, I was searching on YouTube for like fat-free vegan recipes, and I found Freely the Banana Girl, and then I found from her, I found a lot of other vegan YouTube channels, and from then I've become more aware of, because of watching vegan YouTube channels, I've become more aware of animal cruelty issues. So, so it's for all those reasons that I would never go back to eating animal products. Like, there is just no positive to consuming animal products. There's just no positive. It's bad for your health, it's bad for the environment, it's bad for the animals, you know. So, can't remember what I was going to say. I was going to say something else. I'm just going to turn this video off and just think about what else I wanted to say before I sign off, okay? Okay, even if I wanted to say more, I realised that this video is already 18 minutes, so that's way probably too long. No one's probably listening to me anymore, but anyway, if you are, just thank you for listening to me. And I just want to say that for me, becoming vegan has been the best thing that I've ever done for my health, and I'm so grateful for Max Gerson, who literally I feel like saved my life, even though he's dead, and he died like years ago. And also that the other thing I can do on a low-fat vegan diet is pretty much stay fairly slender without even trying, like, and definitely without starving. So that's really good too. Yeah. So yeah. So thank you for listening, and I'll see you later.